Hey, it's me, Denecia. How are you doing? So well, business? The show that allows you to get the best out of work-life balance and productivity. How's your day going? Well, today we'll share some tips on how to stay calm and eliminate anxiety. So a lot of people have been talking to me about how they're feeling. A lot of emotions coming up with regards to not feeling that great and not being able to sleep and just being stressed about what's going to happen in the next few months. Right now it is August 2020 and we are in the midst of COVID here in the United States. We're towards the end of it, we hope and pray, but it is very concerning on what the economy will do once this particular pandemic finishes up. So I decided to listen to my fans who I adore and do a show primarily on how to overcome anxiety and share a little bit about my story with all of you. So what exactly is anxiety, right? Well, it's feeling worried, it's nervousness, it's typically comes out of an event from the past or the future. People can be very, very anxious when they are hopeful of something. So say there's a gentleman and he is married and his wife is having her 40th birthday and he's very excited about this. He exudes his excitement through anxiety, okay? Because he really wants to do well. So I think we've pretty much all been there. And anxiety is not a bad thing. It's a very good thing. It's just teaching us something that we need to listen to. And so I want to share a little bit about my story with anxiety, okay? So a lot of you know me as Peaceful Denecia, who has been able to be very calm through this entire process. But what you didn't know, or what you don't know, is that I was controlled for 20 years by anxiety. And I became a very anxious person most of the time for 20 years. I was cold sweats. I had cold sweats. I had racing thoughts. I had the ability to just overanalyze things. If I was upset about something, it was as if I'd have to think about it and worry for weeks about something that was in the past that the person probably didn't even notice. So that has been my experience with anxiety. I was able to move myself completely being dominated by it to completely saying, I'm not gonna have it, you need to go somewhere else, okay? And so I wanna do this show because I want you to know that wherever you are right now, there is a chance that you can change. I know that change is not easy for everybody. That's understandable. But it's also understandable that you want happiness and peace. And having anxiety and not knowing where it's coming from doesn't really do that for you. So in this particular video, I'm going to share with you some tips that will allow you to rise above anxiety, okay? So number one, it's so fun, I'm really excited about this, is identifying that you feel the emotion. Anxiety comes up because we're unsure, okay? Generally, we're unsure what's gonna happen. And anxiety sneaks up on us because of various things. It can be the foods that we eat may cause us to have anxiety and stress because our bodies need particular minerals in it to calm down. It can be that we are concerned about the future. It could be that we worry about something that happened in the past, okay? So anxiety comes up, we get stressed. Usually what happens is we go and we eat something, or we have a drink of something, or we work out, but the problem is that that's just temporary stuff. The real things that we need to be aware of with anxiety is that anxiety is trying to teach us something. So when we're anxious, when those feelings come up, the best bet is to really kind of focus on asking these questions. One, why is it that it's coming up? What is the feeling that's behind the emotion, anxiety? Two, what can we do about it? And then three, how do we want to resolve this so we can get back to peace again? And these are the three items that we should really focus our attention on, because once we get through these three items, the rest is a piece of cake. A lot of the time anxiety comes up because we just need to identify that it's there, okay? So once we address that emotion, we need to decide on if we are going to really focus on it or if we shouldn't focus on it anymore. So for example, if you have a particular person in your life and you're concerned that you went to a party and you weren't paying attention to them and they got upset with you, but you're not quite sure, do you want to focus on that? And is it really worth focusing on? So that's really what number 2 is addressing the emotion and figuring out if you want to focus on it. And then once you figure that out, what is it that you want to do about it? Is it that you want to contact that person and say, hey, by the way, I apologize, this, that, and the other, or hey, by the way, I'm really anxious about this particular situation, so I may not have been paying attention. I just want to let you know that. Or what is it that you want that will allow you to have more peace of mind? So that's generally what the feeling of anxiety is. It's really identifying that there's something that's going on that needs to be addressed. Once it's addressed, then the anxiety pretty much dissolves. A lot of people who are speakers, like myself, we feel anxious when we get up on the podium. Or every time I do a show, I'm anxious. Right before, I have anxiety that comes up. And even though I've been a speaker for a long time, I still get these emotions. And so I know now by just kind of doing the tips that are moving through the tips that I basically showed you, that's normal. That it's just basically feeling of I'm not sure and okay, let's like stay here. So the ego kind of wants us to stay the same sometimes. So it's just the ego just kind of saying, let's stay the same, let's stay safe. And being able to push through that is key to pushing through the emotion, but identifying that it's there. Because anxiety can also be an indicator that there's something that you need to be aware of for safety reasons. So if there's a particular person that you meet and you're not quite sure about them, and they just give you you get a very eerie feeling when you're around them, then you might have anxiety come up because you are in need of doing more research on the particular person, or you just know that you don't want to be around this person, so you kind of navigate around them. So sometimes anxiety is for, safety. Sometimes anxiety is for, okay, what can I do? Or I feel like I'm not really aligned with my values. There's something that's not quite right. So if one of your values is listening to people or valuing people's opinions and you're a collaborative person, and then you go to an event and you're not listening to a person and you don't feel good, it's because your values are not in alignment with the actions that just happened previously. So that's the 2 items that are really needing to be cared for with the tips. Number 3, and the final tip, last but not least, is once you identify the emotion, figure how you want to execute that emotion, then the third thing is basically focusing on, okay, what is this trying to tell me now, and how do I stay in the now, okay? Now that you got through what happened, identified the reason why it came up, and that is either in the past or it's in the future, it's like there's nothing you can do about it now. So what is it that you can do right now? What is this trying to teach you right now that you need to know that will help you? And sometimes it just means I need to pay attention to the present, okay? Because generally when you're in a situation where you're anxious, it's a fear of the past or the future. So how do you identify the ways that you need to work through these things so you can stay in the present? Because staying in the present allows you to have more peace of mind. Have you ever noticed how when you're upset and you call a friend up and you know that this friend's gonna make you laugh, how you can't be upset and laugh at the same time anymore? It kind of just switches. The same thing works for anxiety. Anxiety is really an indicator that there's something that we need to know. There's something that we need to do in order to move forward through it. And then there's something that we need to focus on, and that is the present. So now I hope you enjoyed this video. And if you liked it, please like us, because I appreciate, and share us with others who may need some guidance. They'd be happy you did. Be beautiful and be well. Bye.